Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Dynamics 365 Tech Talk. Today's topic is One Admin, Power Platform Admin Center Integration with LCS. My name is David, and I'll be your moderator today. We're broadcasting this session through Teams live events, and the audio can be heard through your device speakers. This session is being recorded on behalf of the Microsoft Corporation. When you join this event, your name, email address, and/or phone number may be viewable by other session participants in the attendee list. By joining, you're agreeing to this experience. The recording will be available on the Tech Talks Community Dynamics page within the coming weeks. If you have questions for the presenters or need support, please use the Q&A panel located on the right side of your screen. Our presenters will be responding to your questions throughout the event and in a live Q&A segment near the end. Thank you for your patience during these announcements. Presenting for us today from Microsoft, we have Saurabh Kuchhal. Saurabh, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, David. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are. Super appreciate to have you here. As part of One Dynamics, One Platform Tech Talk series, we covered the overview of One Dynamics, One Platform in the introduction Tech Talk. And we covered all the personas from one admin, one developer, one user, and one insights experience it covers. Today, let's double click into one admin journey. Our goal is to bring you as the admin up to speed on Power Platform Admin Center and a smooth migration from LCS. Today, we will talk about how many FNO platform features such as export to data lake, dual write rely on this very important Power Platform integration at LCS. And most importantly, we are super excited to go over 20 plus implementation scenarios we all face day-to-day basis with respect to environment lifecycle operations. I also have Lane, Andreea, and Corina with me, who has worked tremendously for this content to take the shape and deliver to you. Let's begin. This is our favorite slide, the implementation guide. It has been based on the experience of thousands of Dynamics 365 implementations. Each chapter of the implementation guide represents the collective knowledge and experience of the Fast Track for Dynamics 365 team. At its essence, the implementation guide leads readers on the Dynamics 365 implementation journey, delivering expert guidance, revealing case studies, providing the thinking, questions, and resources needed for a successful project. So far, this book has been in the flip book format, which is the first link, but recently we also got available at MS Learn Doc site as well for better consumption at your end. And both links are here available for you. All right, let's see what is the agenda today. So we will start with the challenges with the admins today. What is the vision with one admin? What is in the roadmap? We will hit into Power Platform concepts and the features it brings. We will have a demo. Then we will talk about the scenarios I talked earlier, the 20 plus implementation scenarios we all face day-to-day basis. And in the end, we will have a Q&A. The most important, I would repeat, the goal is from today's talk to make sure you understand what role does Power Platform integration play in our implementations today and how it will shape in the future as a long term. I will welcome here the Lane to talk about the challenges in the Power Platform integration. Lane, over to you.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. My name is Lane, and I'm a program manager on our admin experiences team. And I'm here to talk about the challenges that we've heard over the years from administrators. And so if we could advance to the next slide, there's really not just one challenge, but many. And over the years, we've heard, as FNO administrators, they typically live and breathe and do their daily tasks within the Lifecycle Services or LCS portal. And as they're needing to work with Power Platform, either because of other Dynamics and CE applications, or simply to bring low code and no code apps on top of their rich ERP data, they can't manage that through LCS, right? That wasn't a capability historically. And so that became a challenge. Now admins from LCS either need to get permissions over in the Power Platform Admin Center, which they've never had, or they need to coordinate with admins from that space that might be in a different department in their organization. Likewise, the Power Platform admins didn't really recognize what are these new environments coming in that are connected to F&O. I don't really understand what those are here for. And so unfortunately, we actually saw instances where those were getting deleted inadvertently. And we really need to have enterprise guardrails in place so that mistakes can't be made, environments can't be accidentally deleted, and so forth. So we need that link and connection between F&O and Dataverse to make them have the same life cycle. Certainly, setting up all of the different integration technologies that we have has been highly technical, very, very tedious, whether it's setting up application IDs, service principals, getting the security framework in place between F&O and Dataverse, and that's just getting the connection established between one environment, one pair of environments. And then if you have more than one environment, certainly you have to replicate that. So again, this is just adding more and more burden on the admin to keep everything in alignment. And last but certainly not least, we have more technologies. New things keep coming out all the time. So we have virtual entities, business events, dual rights, certainly data events. We're also seeing customers use Flow and Logic apps, or even non-Microsoft integration technologies. And if each of these are using separate connections, there is a real possibility that you've got one F&O instance sending data down dual right to Dataverse 1, and Logic App sending it to Dataverse 2, and a Flow sending it to Dataverse 3, and so forth. And that's just a recipe for, data mismatch and disaster. And so with all of these kind of challenges, and certainly this is not an exhaustive list, with all of these in mind, let's go ahead and start to take a look at our vision. What's our vision? What's our roadmap? And how do we want to tackle these challenges long term? So this is the convergence stack. You've probably seen this, as Saurabh mentioned, from the One Dynamics, One Platform intro tech talk. So if you haven't seen that, definitely go check that out. Today, we're going to focus specifically on the One Admin component here, where we're bringing together Lifecycle Services and Power Platform Admin Center. So if we can advance to the next slide. This also was covered in detail in the intro tech talk, but one thing I do want to repeat just for this audience is that it's really important for us to start thinking of F&O as an application going forward. If you think about Power Platform Admin Center, the environment there is really a collection. You can have multiple different applications, and so if we take Dynamics 365 Sales, for example, if I have that installed in a Dataverse environment, and then I add field service on top of it, there's no question whether or not those are going to use the same Dataverse, the same database. Are they going to share the same data? Of course they are. And so we want F&O to really join that ecosystem. It is certainly its own environment managed in LCS today, but long term, we want to move everything so that we have one unified admin experience. And so let's move forward and take a look at how are we going to do this. Here's how we've kind of conceptually broken this down into milestones. I purposely do not have dates on the slide because I don't want us to really get hung up on a particular date. This is a journey that's going to take years. So if we start from the top with the link milestone, this is capabilities that we have here today. Customers can link F&O from LCS to Dataverse from Power Platform Admin Center. That's using a feature that we have now in LCS called Power Platform Integration. That is actually the primary topic of today's session, so I won't belabor it too much right now, but that Power Platform Integration is the ability to link two things together so that they start to feel and behave like one. In addition to the link milestone, we have trials, and this is a brand new capability in Power Platform Admin Center to create an environment that has Dataverse and it has the F&O application installed on top of it and really kind of represents where we want to be long term. So this is something we've released for project operations. We also will have trials for Dynamics 365 Finance and eventually all of the other F&O applications as well. And so you can actually, quote unquote, buy a free license for these trials and go to PPAC and actually spin up one of these environments that has the F&O app on top of it. And it has Power Platform Integration pre-installed, pre-connected, turned on from the moment the environment is created. In addition to trials, the next thing that we need to do is operate. We need to build all of the enterprise guardrails, governance, capabilities within Power Platform Admin Center so that you can operate your developer, your sandbox, and your production environments in Power Platform Admin Center. On top of that, once we have everything ready in the operate phase, that marks the point at which all new customers who buy finance, supply chain, commerce, HR, or ProdJobs licenses, they will go specifically to Power Platform Admin Center. They'll never go to LCS. So for partners listening in today, there will come a time in the future where your new customers will go directly to PPAC while your existing customers will still be in LCS. But that also, again, marks the beginning of the migration phase. And for migration, we're hoping to make a self-service process whereby existing customers in LCS can choose the date and the time at which they wish to move their environments and their project over to the new admin center and the new experience. And you might be wondering, what's it going to look like? Where's my environment going to go? If it disappears from LCS, where's it going to show up in this new admin center? What's that going to look like? Well, it actually goes all the way back to the beginning, to the link phase, because as you create and set up Power Platform integration, you link F&O one-to-one to a Dataverse instance, and that is exactly where your F&O environment will show up in the future as an application. Again, this is a multi-year journey, and we're excited to deep dive into the linking capabilities now, and you can start this journey with us. So let's move forward to the next slide. Let's talk about Power Platform integration. So Power Platform integration enables a whole host of features out of the box within a couple of button clicks from LCS. So as soon as you set up Power Platform integration, you immediately have access to dual write, virtual tables, business events, a whole host of add-ins. These are the microservices that we have available in LCS today, including things like exporting to data lake, inventory visibility, finance insights, and more. There's also new capabilities for managing or bringing your own customer managed key for encrypting your databases at rest. And so even Microsoft cannot access those environments without getting permission from you to do so during support scenarios. On top of that, there's always, of course, bringing Power Apps into F&O. Those historically had their own connection, and so you could be bringing different Power Apps from different Dataverses into one F&O, which was confusing. Now, of course, it's leveraging Power Platform integration connection. So again, all of these things are leveraging that one-to-one connection that you're establishing to Dataverse. So you don't have to manage the setup, the connection, the authentication. All of the features are just enabled or lit up consistently for you. And we're adding more and more all the time. And so what does Power Platform integration, the linking, look like? So if we take a look here on the left-hand side, this is the Power Platform integration tab on your environment details page in LCS. This is where you can go to set up the integration to Dataverse. When you come here, you'll actually be able to make a choice. You can either choose to link to a new Dataverse, and that's great for ERP first customers. If you've been live with F&O for some time, but now you want to kind of explore low code and no code, you can actually click a button and deploy Dataverse and get that set up within just a few minutes. Now, you also can make another choice, which is to link to an existing Dataverse. Let's say you already have a production or a sandbox environment in the admin center. Maybe it has sales or field service or one of the other Dynamics apps, and you want to link that thing with F&O. So then it feels like it's one cohesive environment. That is another choice that you can make. And as you can see on the other side of the page here, dual write is actually going to start leveraging that connection string. So instead of having to go into dual write and manually select which Dataverse you want to connect to, it's just going to know you're connected using Power Platform integration. And likewise, all the way down at the bottom, we've got a screenshot of the Power Platform Admin Center, and we can see now it's very visible even to Power Platform admins that the Finance and Operations app is connected to this instance. It has the F&O URL, and as such, it can't be deleted separately from deleting F&O. So the life cycle starts to get tied together as well. We can advance to the next slide. So dual write has been around for some time, and it's always had this link and unlink terminology and capability. What we'd like to do, because we don't want customers to inadvertently set up Power Platform integration to Dataverse 1, and then set up dual write to Dataverse 2. That, again, as we mentioned, that's a recipe for some problems, right, in terms of data consistency. And so we want to remove this whole linking and unlinking capability. We want to leverage what you do in the LCS admin center. And so as you set up Power Platform integration, that becomes the source of truth for your link to Dataverse. And so with that, we're replacing link and unlink with a reset button. What this is going to do is it's going to reset the connection. So if you have some troubleshooting where you might have just typically unlinked and then linked again just to kind of reset things, that's what this reset button will do. Likewise, as you do environment lifecycle, if you're copying prod into Sandbox and so forth, and you typically had to clear a bunch of tables and all of that kind of technical stuff, right? Now you can just click the reset button afterwards and it does all of that for you, right? And it just, again, where does it reconnect to? It takes LCS as the source of truth. Now, this will be somewhat challenging for customers if you're in a mismatch situation. We have warnings in LCS. We've also sent email communications here very recently to a bunch of customers that have LCS Power Platform integration turned on to Dataverse 1, but dual write is set to Dataverse 2, for example. If you're in that situation, you have a couple of options. You can choose to undo the connection. You can unlink right now and choose to realign it and make it match with LCS. But if the dual write connection is the one you actually want to keep, and LCS was a mistake or it was set up incorrectly, that you actually can't change on your own. And so if you need help, please just reach out to support. We have an ICM number that you can reference. We'll drop that into the chat as well. Just let us know and we'd be happy to get LCS updated to match what you need it to be. And with that, we are releasing the reset capability in February. And so again, once that rolls out, it's going to use LCS as its source of truth. And so if you're in a mismatch situation, we highly recommend you reach out before February, and we are happy to help you. Let's move forward to the next slide. So with that, one of the other feedback that we've gotten, and even with myself, as I've learned Power Platform Admin Center coming from an LCS background, we have a whole host of different lifecycle activities or operations, and they use different words and they have slightly different behaviors. And so this is more a slide for reference. We also will be making some documentation updates in this area as well, just to make it super clear for folks with an F&O background versus a Power Platform background. But let's just take create, for example. If you're creating a new environment, we call that deploy in LCS. You deploy your sandbox, you deploy production. In the Power Platform Admin Center, we call it provision. You provision an environment. And eventually, when it's provisioned, it's in a ready state. Do we have APIs for that activity in LCS? No, everything is very manual in LCS. And in the admin center, do we have APIs, tools, PAC CLI, PowerShell, you name it? Yes, and you'll see it's yes all the way down. And so as we move, more and more capabilities to Power Platform Admin Center, you will get more and more programmatic capabilities. Likewise, with things like copy and so forth, we just move databases on the F&O side, and that's why we have a tool called DB Sync, which catches the database up to match the code in the target. Whereas in the admin center, we always copy the code and optionally copy data. The code is always a one-to-one match. And so again, just slight nuances that you might not be aware of. We're going to help you and deep dive into several of those types of scenarios later in this talk today. So let's move forward to the next slide, please. So how do you get this thing set up? What's the flow? Well, there's really kind of two entry points today. One here is when you're creating a new F&O environment. During the deployment process, you can choose your environment name, you can choose what region it's in. You can also choose to enable Power Platform integration at that stage as well. We are actually removing that capability though for Sandbox and Prod. We just found frankly, a lot of customer mistakes during that process. And so we're going to move that to just be a post-deployment action. However, for cloud-hosted environments or your developer environments, this will still be available to you during the deployment dialog. And what you'll do is you choose a template. So we have 3 templates available today. Dynamics 365 Standard, that really just sets up Dataverse with a baseline template. It doesn't have the dual write application installed, and this is great if you're just looking to use business events, virtual entities, or you're just looking to use add-ins, so you're not looking to dual write. However, if you know you need dual write, you can actually choose Dynamics 365 Standard with dual write, and that sets up all the extra applications and solutions for that as well, so that you're ready to start applying solutions and maps on top of it. So this drastically simplifies the setup for customers who know they need dual write from day one. And lastly, we have a project operations template that actually includes some very specific maps for ProjOps on top of dual write, on top of the standard template. So again, this is the flow for creating during deployment, but we are removing that option for sandbox and prod. If we can move to the next slide. This is the recommended approach for sandbox and prod. It's after deployment. So you are creating a new sandbox, you're creating production, wait for that to get finished. Don't turn on Power Platform integration. We'll actually be removing it soon. And once it is deployed, then you can enable Power Platform integration. And again, as I mentioned earlier, you can choose, do I just need a new Dataverse? Like I don't have another Dataverse I want to connect to, that's fine. Or if you know you have another Dataverse with CRM or CE apps that you want to connect to with F&O, you can choose to connect to that existing Dataverse as well. And we'll actually deep dive into this in a demo here in just a moment. So let's move forward. And we'll play the demo. In this demo, we will review capabilities for administrators in both the Lifecycle Services portal as well as the Power Platform Admin Center. First, let's start here in LCS, where I have a new sandbox that was just deployed. You'll notice that there's a section called Power Platform Integration, which is a new feature used to make integration with the platform and Dataverse as simple as a few button clicks. You'll see that I have a new initial Power Platform environment created, which is true now for all sandbox and production environments. So let's go visit the Admin Center and see if we can find this environment. And sure enough, here it is, the same sandbox. It has the same name as the environment from LCS, but you can see that Dataverse is not yet deployed. This is that initial Power Platform environment that comes with every sandbox and production instance. I can see that it is linked to F&O and I can access that from here. I also cannot inadvertently delete this environment because the life cycle of this Power Platform environment is tied directly to the sandbox from LCS. And so let's say I want to go ahead and set up Power Platform integration, which is a feature that allows us to quickly set up integrations to the platform for low code development. But let's say I already have a CRM instance that I have been using for quite some time, and I'd rather use this one than the one that came with my F&O instance. And so we can go back to LCS, hit the setup button, and instead of deploying a new Dataverse instance, I can actually opt to use an existing one. And so it's completely up to the admin on what route they want to choose. But either way, once the connection to Dataverse is established, features like virtual tables, business events, and dual write will automatically be configured and connected with no more manual steps needed by the admin. And so we'll go ahead and hit setup. Now this cannot be undone. It's very similar to applying a platform update. Once you apply that update, it cannot be unapplied. It also means that all of the admin and environment level decision making is done here within LCS admin portal, where the admin typically does their work and is no longer managed inside of the F&O application itself. And so now that this is underway, let's go ahead and take a look at the Admin Center and see what new options we have available there as well. So we'll first start at deploying a new project operations trial. I'm going to go ahead and give this a name. And I'm going to change the environment type here to subscription-based trial. This will always come with Dataverse. And so if I click next, I can choose some settings that are specific to Dataverse. And then from there, I can choose to enable Dynamics 365 apps. From here, I can choose a environment template, which is just a list of pre-installed applications. I'm going to choose project operations for non-stocked and go ahead and deploy. Now this still takes an hour, so we're not going to wait for that. I've already spun one up called Project Ops F&O. This environment, as you can see, is also linked with Power Platform integration to Dataverse, and it has an F&O and a CRM runtime. If I go ahead and open this environment here, I can go to the data management workspace and go to dual write and see that indeed dual write is set up and pre-connected. I do not have to manually set any of these features up because, again, this was deployed as one instance. We know the CRM, we know the ERP, everything comes pre-connected for you. And so this is the future of how we will deploy sandbox and production environments from Power Platform Admin Center. This concludes the demo, and thank you for listening in. Great. Thanks so much. And with that, I will hand it back to you, Saurabh, to dive into implementation scenarios. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lane. Yeah, showing us the importance of Power Platform integration at LCS environment. All right, now let's move to the meatiest part of this tech talk. Super excited again to share these 20+ implementation scenarios we face on day-to-day basis. We club them into following order. First, we will cover the environment creation related scenarios. Then we will go to environment deletion scenarios. After that, the challenging ones where you have the mismatch between Power Platform integration and FNO. Maybe like for dual write, you're using something else and Power Platform is pointing to another environment. Those ones we'll also cover and how you can fix that. We will also talk about the other challenges like copy, restore, point in time restore, those scenarios, how you should do those, and patterns, anti-patterns in that. And lastly, the most interesting ones will be the end-to-end scenarios, such as you are already live with FNO and now you're going live with Dataverse or vice versa. Or how do you deploy the code and data from pre-prod sandbox to prod or vice versa in that category as well. So let's begin on this. So first we will cover the environment creation scenarios. There are some few slides on the creation and different aspects here. This one is the customer wants to deploy a new FNO environment, right? And looking right now, he's not looking for any new features like dual write, virtual table, or not even looking for export to data lake. The dependencies on Dataverse side. While creating the FNO environment, all we need to do is when we are on this particular checkbox, configure Power Platform environment, keep this no. What will happen? It will still create the Power Platform environment at the Power Platform Admin Center with the linking in the place, but there will not be any Dataverse database on that environment. So you will not be able to use features such as export to data lake and other add-ins. And by the way, just a tip, you can always enable the Dataverse capabilities as a post-deployment action. And that is the recommended path. And how? Let's head into this one, which is option A here. Same scenario, customer still wants to create a new FNO environment, but this time they have planned to use integrations with Dataverse, such as dual write, virtual table, or export to data lake, or any other future investments coming in that category. Because we are, as part of One Dynamics One platform, our approach is to merge these platforms, and more features will be coming towards Dataverse. So what you can do is, by creating the environment, do not configure the Power Platform environment. That is the recommended path. And after creation, what you can do is you can choose the which particular template and which particular Power Platform environment it should configure to. And we will check on that too very soon. We have some patterns and anti-patterns, but most importantly, as Lane also mentioned in this talk, think of FNO and Power Platform Dataverse as one environment. Think of finance and operations as an app under the Power Platform environment. Maintain that one-on-one mapping between the finance and operations apps and Power Platform environment. This will really help while we move transition from LCS to all the way to migrate phase to Power Platform Admin Center. And this will be the key. Okay, so here another scenario, customer is creating the new FNO environment, but they are already having a Dataverse environment which they want to connect to. And this is the recommended path as well here. While creating the FNO environment, do not configure that environment, right? And you can, once the environment is deployed, you will see a setup button under Power Platform integration in LCS. Once you click that, it will open up this dialog box, which you see the screenshot. If you want to continue using the new environment, You can just say use a different Power Platform environment to no. But since this scenario is existing Power Platform environment, you hit yes and you find the Power Platform environment ID, which is different than FNO environment ID, which you can find from PPAC, Power Platform Admin Center, and then you paste that particular ID here. With this, it will also install some solutions like dual write core solutions, virtual entity solutions in the Power Platform environment. Okay, so we did created environments. Now let's look into the dual write setups from FNO environment and LCS. So there are two options right now. One option will go away soon. So let's talk about the both options available today. You have created the linked environment, right? When we say linked, which is a Power Platform linked, and when you created that environment, you use the dual write template. There are three templates which we saw earlier. One is a standard, another one is standard with dual write template, and if you have project operations license, you will see project operations template too. So now, how do you set up the initial setup with dual write? And let's see the linking from LCS. You will see the button linked to Power Platform environment, and what will happen with that behind the scene, it will take care of all those 10 plus steps which you need to do at different places, assigning users, providing access, all those kind of things. Everything will be done behind the scene for you. What it will also do, it will enable all the legal entities for the initial sync as well as for live sync between FNO and Dataverse. Although there are limits in dual write for initial and live syncs, those limits will still apply. Once you have done that linking here, what you need to do is you can find out on app source many solutions available for dual write, such as prospect to cache, code to cache, and many others. And you can take that and install those solutions. After installation, the last step is apply the solutions in the dual write workspace. And once you apply the solutions, what will happen is if you will go to dual write workspace under data management in FNO, you will start seeing those table maps based on those solutions. One tip here, if you have a live sync where you want to sync more than 250 legal entities, please reach out to us and we will provide to have the best support to you. And by the way, this is the recommended path you link from LCS, as Lane mentioned earlier. This is the future. What you can also do, you can also link from FNO currently as it's been available, as dual write came much earlier than Power Platform integration and that linking. So obviously that option is here today, but this option will go away or will change in future. What you can do here is you can select the environment. You see the four options here: choose environment, select legal entities, health check, and summary. In the choose environment, what you have to do is you have to carefully select which particular Power Platform or Dataverse environment I need to connect to my FNO environment. Once you do that, you can select the legal entities and it will make sure it checks for those limits. It will do the health check, making sure it has all the access, the dual write users, and all the IDs, everything is set up properly, and you hit submit. And after that, those two steps are same like previously. You install the solutions from app source, and once that is done, you click on apply solution. One caveat, this option will be removed soon. And what will happen is with the reset button, this choose environment option will be gone, as we will rely on the Power Platform integration link and not on the dual write link. So you will still see the options of legal entity select, health check, and summary. But with the reset button, you will not see the choose environment option here. Okay, so we did cover environment creation and initial setup from dual write. Now let's hit into two easy scenarios, deleting the linked environments from FNO. So what if it is a link, it will have an environment in FNO. It will also have an environment in PPAC. If you delete from FNO, and this is the right way, but what will happen is PPAC linking will be removed. So if you will go after deleting from FNO on the Power Platform Admin Center, you will see FNO URL, but that URL will be gone. But environment is not deleted. So please delete that environment from PPAC. if you're not looking to use that. And one tip, if you're looking to redeploy with FNO with the same name, you need to also do the unlink from the dual write workspace first, or reset first. Okay, and this one Lane also mentioned very quickly, linked Power Platform environment you are trying to delete. This will not be possible now. So if so that mistake or chances of issues of deleting it by mistake are gone. And since FNO is the one, LCS is the one which is primary for this environment, so you can only delete this from FNO, from LCS, sorry. This is for sandbox and prod too, but yes, obviously, if you are deleting prod environment, so you need to have a solid reason, or if you have any concerns, please reach out to support team. I will hand it over to Andreea to cover the remaining scenarios. Andreea, over to you.
Thank you, Saurabh. Let me put my sharing on. Can you confirm that you can see my screen?
Yep, perfect.
All right, thank you. So we are going to switch now to the mismatch situations mentioned before. And just before we do that, let's recap what a mismatch is. A mismatch is when the environment configured for dual write is different than the one leveraged by the LCS PPAC link. In this case, LCS will show a warning as in the screenshot here. Please do not ignore the warning. Starting with the scenarios, what happens if you notice the mismatch between an FNO apps sandbox environment, which is linked with a different Power Platform environment in LCS than the one used for dual write? In this situation, you might have one of the two paths moving forward. Both of them are self-service. So if you did not use the Power Platform integration capabilities like add-ins, data events, virtual entities, then the setup button should be enabled for you. Go ahead and click it like Saurabh showed. You can specify the ID of the Power Platform environment used by dual write. However, if Power Platform integration capabilities have been used, then the link is irreversible. In this case, the only way to go forward is to redeploy your finance and operations apps environment. Delete and recreate. Remember, during deployment, do not enable the Configure Power Platform integration flag. Instead, use the post-deployment option to specify the ID of the dual write Power Platform environment. In this case, please note that some manual steps might be required depending on your scenario. If you, for example, leverage virtual entities, of course, now that you are going to use the environment that the dual write has used, then you need to recreate these virtual entities there as well. All right. What if the mismatch is with the production environment? So you notice in LCS the warning, and it is for your finance and operations apps production environment, which is linked with a different Power Platform environment than dual write, and you need to correct this. Again, you might have two options forward. First, similar as the previous scenario, if the Power Platform integration is not set up, you didn't use add-ins, data events, and so on, the setup button should be enabled. Please proceed with the self-service option of using it and specifying the ID of the Power Platform environment used by dual write. However, if Power Platform integration capabilities have been used, then please reach out to support with all details such as what is the ask, environment details, and so on, as we specified here on the slide. And remember that ICM ticket that my colleagues put in the chat. The intention is that by mid of January, this support path won't be available anymore. And in that case, customers will either need to change their dual write environment or redeploy their production environment. So please reach out to us if you see the mismatch in production, and we will work together to bring back the alignment. It will be way more difficult to do so in the future. A probably less common scenario, you still have the mismatch, but the intention is actually to change the dual write environment and use the one of the LCS PPAC linking. Then please follow the documented steps to reset the dual write linking. At the moment, this is to be done from the FNO apps dual write workspace. It involves unlinking, deleting some data from some tables, and linking back. In the near future, like Lane mentioned, there will be a reset capability. You'll hit the button and then the linking will be done with the environment in the LCS PPAC link. In this case, don't forget to consider the additional steps that you might need to align back the data, such as initial sync or data migration if the volumes are above recommended limits. Again, please do not ignore the LCS warning. Let's work together to bring these environments in a matching situation. We did mention so far the possibility to link to an existing Power Platform environment. What if that Power Platform environment is already linked to an FNO1? And one example that we could give here is the converting situation, converting a Power Platform sandbox to production. So just to be clear, the before situation, we have a Power Platform sandbox linked to an FNO sandbox. After conversion, we will have a Power Platform production linked with an FNO sandbox. Of course, the idea would be to link this Power Platform production to the FNO production. However, remember, the linking is irreversible. There is no other option than actually deleting the FNO apps sandbox environment. This will free up the link in PPAC and you could utilize that Power Platform environment. So if you do plan to use the conversion option, please be aware of this additional step. If you cannot afford to delete that finance and operations apps sandbox, our advice is to not use the conversion option, stay away from it, and deploy a new environment altogether. Of course, in this situation, also be aware of the additional steps that might be required to align the environments, and we'll have more about that in the next slides. The next scenario is looking at the situation when a customer is already live with a finance and operations apps like Dynamics 365 Finance and wants to go live with a Dynamics 365 customer engagement app like Sales. Add-ins, data events, basically the Power Platform integration has been already used for the FNO installation, and dual write is in scope for the upcoming CE go live. In this scenario, as Power Platform integration capabilities have been leveraged, the FNO production environment already has that LCS PPAC link in place, and it is already irreversible. As such, it is very important to ensure that the CE team uses this already existing Power Platform environment instead of creating a new one. There will be no option to use that new environment if you go down that direction. In this slide, we have a situation in which a customer is already live with a Dynamics 365 customer engagement apps like Sales and plans to go live with Dynamics 365 Finance. The customer does plan to use Power Platform integration, add-ins, data events, but not dual write. So what options do you have here? There are two options going forward. Either leverage this already live Dynamics 365 customer engagement app environment, Sales, or use a completely new one. Our recommendation is to go for the first option. Do leverage this already live Power Platform, this production Power Platform environment, but do not install dual write if that is not in scope. This option will give you the possibility of integrating the apps at a later stage if needed. However, the other option is also valid. You should, and that is leveraging the environment created automatically when the FNO apps environment was deployed, or a new one altogether. This will put you in the situation of having two Power Platform production environments running in parallel, and it will also remove any possibility for future integration between these Dynamics 365 apps. Remember what Saurabh Lane mentioned. Think about the linked Power Platform F&O environment as one environment with multiple apps, because this is the direction moving forward. Moving into restore, copy, point-in-time restore scenarios, I will start here with the pattern. Always do these refreshes, copy, point-in-time restore activities in parallel on both sides. As we mentioned, treat this Power Platform and F&O environment, this pair, as one single environment. Therefore, please avoid putting them in a misalignment. Also worth mentioning, the LCS PPAC link is not affected by these actions. It will be preserved. So in this case, what to do when a database refresh is necessary for finance and operations? Please do also the copy for Power Platform. Be aware, of course, that a database copy action includes both data encode, which is different than the F&O apps, which is only database. So as a first step, you might need to bring back the solutions in the target environment, in your Power Platform target environment, based on source control. Consider the dependencies between solutions. In terms of dual write, the documented step of stopping the maps, cleaning up the table, and relinking is needed. Some of these steps will be streamlined in the near future with the reset option. The virtual entities, they are brought from the source system, so you will need to re-enable them in Power Platform, re-enable the virtual entities you had before, if that is the intent, and refresh them if there are differences in the schema. Active business events and active data events need to be reconfigured together with their endpoints. You might still see some differences today in how we automatically clear out records from the F&O database regarding active business events and active data events, but this will be definitely streamlined and aligned better in the upcoming weeks. I have this here on the next 4 slides. We are running out of time, so I will quickly go through them. We have 4 scenarios in which the restore happens, or copy happens from an unlinked to a linked environment, or the other way around. I will skip through them, but please have a look when we publish the TechTalk. When a point-in-time restore option is needed, again, please do that in parallel. Point-in-time restore applies only to the F&O database as opposed to Dataverse, where it takes both code and data. If breaking code changes happened in the meantime, for example, you removed a data entity that was a virtual entity, please ensure that the base codes are realigned. In most cases, though, after these 2 operations are complete, all components will be reverted to the state at the time of the restore. The dual write virtual entities should just work. Business events, data events are also supported, but there might be some pending deliverables on our side to cover all edge cases. Therefore, please test your individual scenarios. But overall, they are supported and they should work as well. Changing the name of the Power Platform environment is possible, but not the URL. Neither of these 2 options are available for Finance and Operations apps environments. All the scenarios we have covered so far focused on Microsoft managed environments. That means F&O sandbox and production environments. Please note that for the development environments, cloud-hosted ones, it is also possible to leverage the Power Platform integration, but only during the deployment of the cloud-hosted environment. This is opposite of what we said so far about sandboxes and productions, where the recommendation is to set up the integration as a post-deployment activity. For cloud-hosted environment, the only option is during deployment of that environment. What that means? It means that it is not possible to configure a cloud-hosted environment to be linked with an existing Power Platform environment. It is always a new one, the one deployed during creation of this cloud-hosted environment, and that paired environment will be a sandbox. This concludes our scenarios for today. Before I hand it over to Corina, I just want to tell you that the message we want to send to give you today is that new cool features are coming to simplify the admin experience. Maybe the number of scenarios was a bit scary. We had 20+ scenarios, but it was only because we tried to cover as many edge cases as we could. The day-to-day experience is quite simple. The most important thing is to ensure that the right linking is in place and we can work together if there is a mismatch today. Now, Corina will walk us through end-to-end scenarios which glue these individual cases that we have seen so far.
Thank you, Andrea. Hi, everyone. Yes, in the next minutes, I will quickly walk you through several end-to-end scenarios and deployment considerations for linked environments and will apply the patterns and the tips that Saurabh and Andrea have shared with us earlier. Let's start with the first scenario. So brand new FNO and Dataverse implementation, where both systems go live at the same time and dual write is in scope. First step. We need to create the FNO apps environment in the LCS portal and follow the recommended practice of not enabling Power Platform integration. However, we do know that an environment without database is still created. Second step, create and link the Dataverse environment with the newly created FNO environment. And we know that this can be done in two ways. Either create and link at the same time using the setup button in LCS and choose a new Dataverse environment with the appropriate template, or create the Dataverse environment separately in the Power Platform Admin Center and then link it using Setup button in LCS using the option to connect to an existing Dataverse environment. Third step, in order to complete the dual write linking, we should press the link to Power Platform Integration button available in LCS, which will enable dual write for all legal entities. You can remove legal entities that are not needed by going afterwards in the dual write workspace. Now, if this button link to Power Platform integration is not visible, and you see instead the dual write application button, it's because you have not chosen the dual write template. So no worries, press the dual write application button first, and then you will see this link to Power Platform integration button appearing once this activity completes. Also, we already know by this point that only the anchor and the core application solutions are installed when we chose the dual write template. So if there is a need for other table maps, such as a customer or product, more solutions should be installed from App Store, such as dual write human resources, dual write finance, or dual write supply chain, and more. Once the solutions are successfully installed, you can use the button Apply Solution in the dual write workspace to bring in the table maps that are required. Moving on to scenario 2, where we have a new FNO implementation and an existing Dataverse. Now, when creating the FNO apps environment, it is critical to choose to not enable the Power Platform integration. The second step, we need to link the newly created FNO apps environment with the existing Dataverse using the Setup button. Once the linking is completed, we can safely discard the Power Platform environment without a database that was created automatically at step 1 if there is no need to use this environment for other purposes. Final step, if dual write is in scope, we need to follow the steps mentioned in scenario 1 with the additional data bootstrapping that would be required. For example, adding the company code to customer records. Also, if there is a need to migrate data from Dataverse, initial sync is an option, provided that the volumes are within the documented limits. Moving on to the third scenario, preparing for an implementation of an existing FNO and a new Dataverse implementation. The assumption here is that when we created the FNO environment, we have chosen no to enabling the Power Platform integration, and thus the Setup button is still available. In this case, we can follow the same steps for creating and linking Dataverse as mentioned in scenario 1, step 2. However, if we chose yes to enable Power Platform integration when FNO was created, then we must reuse that existing Power Platform environment. And if dual write is in scope, same steps should be followed, such as in scenario 1. Switching gears now and discussing two deployment considerations for linked environments. Firstly, initial deployment from pre-production to production. We should start with preparing the target linked environments, and for this, see scenario 1 for detailed steps. Second step, deploy the code and the data from pre-prod to production. For F&O apps, this means installing the mark release candidate and refresh database from pre-prod. For Dataverse, we must rely on deploying solutions from source control and potentially use tools such as the configuration migration tool so that we can migrate master data. If dual-write is in scope, there are the first party and perhaps also custom solutions containing custom table maps that we should deploy and then use the apply button in the dual-write workspace. If business events or data events are in scope, post-solution and code deployments, these would need to be rebuilt. Second deployment consideration we are covering today for linked environment is restoring production to pre-production environment, for example, when we want to test a new release. First step, again, prepare the target environments if pre-prod environments are created ad hoc in your organizations and destroyed after usage. To do this, follow the same steps as scenario 1. Next, we should restore both environments from prod to pre-prod by moving and restoring the database over the pre-prod target environments. If the use case is testing the new release, do deploy your latest code at this moment. If dual-write is in scope, make sure to reset the dual-write link and then install and apply any required solutions. Finally, rebuild your business events and data events if these are in scope. This concludes the end-to-end scenarios and deployment considerations for linked environments we had prepared for you today. Thank you so much for your attention. I am now handing it over to Saurabh to wrap us up and kick off QA.
Wow, thank you. What a session, right? We covered so many scenarios and options here, and we are coming towards the end. Thank you so much for everyone for staying put. Let's look at these resources slide and especially the first two links, please. The AKA link, ORDOP Tech Talks, which is basically the series link. All the previous introduction Tech Talk, this Tech Talk recordings, and future Tech Talks will be available on that page. Also, what we did is we are going to put all these implementation scenarios in the docs in the MS Learn page site too. Why? Because over the time, these steps may change, the actions may change, and our recommendations may change as the future of LCS and PPAC integration will come together, right? So that's why we highly recommend to keep that bookmark too, and so that you can find latest and greatest on those sites. So these will be coming soon, and we have other MS Learn docs and Yammer links for you to go deeper into these areas as well. Okay. So now we are towards the end. Thank you so much for your time. Let's have some live Q&A here. And yeah, we really appreciate your time here. I do see one question a lot from many folks, and this is related to security. So I will just repeat that question. As of now, I can manage LCS, but do not have permission to the Power Platform Admin Center. How will security change, or will it change? And another question related to that is, like an environment manager, how do I deploy the environments without the need for global admin? Lane, do you want to cover that?
Yeah, so as everything starts to converge, if you're deploying new environments, you will need that permission from Power Platform Admin Center. And so as you're operating in LCS, we do check those permissions. We validate using APIs from Power Platform. So if you don't have the right permissions, you won't be able to do the deployment. So now is a great time to start having that conversation internally and organizationally as we start to merge these things together and have one admin experience, regardless which Dynamics 365 app you've purchased. So definitely start having those conversations. If you're linking to an existing environment, you need at a minimum the system customizer role in that environment because you're essentially installing packages and apps in that environment by doing the linking. But otherwise, if you're provisioning something brand new, you will need the permissions to do so from Power Platform. So that either means D365 service admin role, Power Platform admin role, definitely not, tenant admin role. That there should only be a couple of those at your company. But those are the roles that we have available today. We are working with Power Platform admin team to have more granular roles going forward for environment management and so forth. There was also an angle to this from a couple of partners as well. How do we access the admin center on behalf of the customer? What Power Platform Admin Center uses is a process called delegated admin. So from Partner Center, you can, if you're a delegated admin for your customer, you can access the admin center on their behalf, and it actually kind of temporarily puts you into their tenant as the partner user. So you log in with your normal partner account, but you're able to access customer resources. It's the same process used by the rest of the Microsoft 365 admin portals for Office and so forth. So we're aligning to that paradigm.
Perfect. Thank you, Lane. There is another question on the dual write and Power Platform mismatch scenarios, right? So how can we support that better? Rama, I will point to you. Can you provide some guidance on that here?
Yeah, so as Lane was mentioning in the start of the session, and we have been discussing this mismatch throughout. So since dual write has been enabled, came first, and then Power Platform integration setup was released later, there are a bunch of customers who are still continuing to use the old dual write connection setup. And with the Power Platform integration, we are going to we are requesting all the customers to use the Power Platform integration setup. So we are asking them to migrate from the dual write connection setup to the Power Platform integration setup, because this Power Platform integration setup, a single connection, can facilitate dual write, virtual tables, business event, data events, data lake, and all other connections. So that's why we are requesting you to migrate. Now, whosoever has got mismatch, they might have got an LCS communication from us. Now, what we are requesting from you is, if you have received the LCS communication, please reach out to our support team with an ICM number. I have mentioned that in the chat window. So use that ICM number, mention it, and then create a support ticket. Now, if you have Power Platform integration is not set up or it's incomplete, you would be able to correct it by yourself. The public documentation is already available. That LCS communication also has guidelines to it, how to fix it by yourself. And there are some scenarios where you cannot fix by yourself and you need our help, and that's where this ICM ticket will come into picture. So we are here to help you. And there are certain scenarios where you cannot do the changes or migration because of various valid reasons, right? So we would like to use this opportunity to listen to that scenarios and see how best we can help you. And we are here to help you. Okay. So we are here to help you with the mismatch journey and make sure we are aligning with you are aligned with the Power Platform integration vision that Microsoft has. So please reach out to us using the ICM through the support channel, and please mention the ICM number in your support cases. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. I know we are over time. Thank you so much for everyone joining in. I will hand it back to David here. David, over to you.
Thank you, Saurabh. I've posted a link to a short survey in the Q&A panel. We'd like your feedback on today's session and hear what you'd like to see in future events. Thank you for your participation. As a reminder, the recording of today's session will be available on the TechTalk's Community Dynamics page within the coming weeks. I'd like to extend a big thank you to our presenters and audience for joining us today.